shadows chasing stars. 3 men vanished in the night, gone without a single fight. No footprints left upon the sand. Mystery deep unfurls its hand. An empty room, an untouched spread, empty echoes where they fled.
Imagine a lonely place, far from the reach of civilization, where the only signs of life are the crashing waves and the lonely cry of seabirds. This is the Flannan Isles, located off the northwest coast of Scotland, and it's here that one of the most enduring maritime mysteries took place. A mystery that remains unsolved to this day. This is the true story of something that took place on a small island 120 years ago, and a mystery that has never been solved. Captain Holman couldn't quite comprehend the source of his unease. The feeling gnawed at him, an inexplicable tension that wouldn't let go no matter how hard he tried to shake it off. It's the 15th of December, 1900, and his ship, the SS Arctur, is making its way from Philadelphia to the port of Leith, a regular journey for Captain Holman and his crew. As midnight approaches, they find themselves 6 miles north of the Flannan Isles, a cluster of 7 islands situated west of Lewis, often referred to as the Seven Hunters. Captain Holman stands on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the horizon as he searches for the lighthouse on Eilean Moor, the largest of the islands, once revered as an ancient sacred place. But where there should be light, there is only darkness, and the wild screeching of the birds, fulmars, storm petrels, kittiwakes. Once again, Captain Holman feels that sense of unease and dread. He knows that something is missing. Meanwhile, Roderick Mackenzie stands on Gallon Head, Isle of Lewis, gazing across the ocean in search of the light on Eilean Moor. He works as a gamekeeper on Lewis, but also earns £8 a year from the Northern Lighthouse Board to watch for any signals from the lighthouse. He hasn't seen the light for 8 nights in a row now. At first, he put this down to the rough weather and the sea mist, the har, but tonight he has a feeling that maybe something is wrong, terribly wrong, far out there on the distant rocks. When the SS Arctur arrived in Leith, Captain Holman reported his concerns about the missing light to the ship's agents, but for some reason, maybe it was the time of year, word didn't get to the Northern Lighthouse Board until after Christmas. By that time, a boat, the Hesperus, was already on its way to Eilean Moor carrying the relief keeper Joseph Moore. When they were close to the island, the Hesperus raised a flag to signal their arrival, but there was no response from the lighthouse. The boat sounded its horn several times and set off a flare. Still no response. All was deathly quiet on the island. The boat berthed at the east landing, and Joseph Moore went ashore alone to find out what had happened to the light and to his 3 friends and fellow keepers, James Ducat, principal keeper, Thomas Marshall, assistant keeper, and Donald MacArthur, an occasional, a Lewisman and tailor by trade, who was trained in lightroom duties and helped out when needed. Joseph Moore knew the other men well, and their families lived together on the shore station at Braesclete on Lewis. He climbs the steps towards the lighthouse, his skin prickling. Looking up, he sees there, on the top of the light tower, 3 huge storm-black birds, like 3 drowned sailors on a ghostly ship. And as he watches, they rise without a sound, fly out to sea, and disappear. Joseph feels a shiver run through him. The door of the lighthouse is closed tight, but not locked. He pushes it open cautiously. Silence. In the kitchen, the plates, cups, and cutlery have been washed and neatly stacked away. The fire is unlit. The ashes in the grate are cold to the touch. Joseph climbs to the next level to check the bedrooms. Fearful of what he might find behind the closed doors, he hesitates for a moment before going inside. He can almost feel invisible eyes watching his every move. But when he goes into the rooms, the beds are all empty and made up. And in the light room, everything is in proper order, the lamp cleaned, the fountain full, and the blinds drawn for daytime duty. But the 3 keepers appear to have vanished. Joseph hurried back down to the boat to tell of what he'd seen. He wanted to get off the island, away from the deafening silence, and never to come back. But that night, Joseph had to go back into the abandoned lighthouse with 3 other members of the crew to keep the light burning, to watch and to wait during the long hours of darkness.
In the gloom of that old room, ghosts dance beneath the moon. We breathed a chill
But the real mystery lay in the logbook. The last entry, dated December 15th, described a violent storm, though no such storm was reported by other nearby locations. Even more puzzling, the logbook entries hinted at an increasing sense of dread among the keepers. One entry by Thomas Marshall read, "Severe winds, the likes of which I have never seen before in 20 years. Ducat is quiet, and MacArthur is crying." Yet by all accounts, MacArthur was known to be a tough, rugged man, not someone easily moved to tears.
We wandered near and far, chasing shadows, chasing stars. 3 men vanished in the night, gone without a single fight. No footprints left upon the sand. Mystery deep unfurls its hand. An empty room, an untouched spread, empty echoes where they fled. But a door ajar.
And the next morning they searched the rocky island from end to end. The only clue of what might have happened was at the western landing. The mooring ropes, landing ropes, and crane handles were missing, and the iron railings along the footpath bent out of shape. The life buoy, stored 110 feet above sea level, had disappeared completely. James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur were never found, and to this day their disappearance is still a mystery. Some say that they were swept off the rock by a freak wave whilst trying to secure the ropes at the landing stage. But then, why did all 3 of them go out in wild weather, when the dark was closing in on a winter's afternoon? The regulations said that one keeper should always stay on duty inside the lighthouse. There are some that talk of murder, of tempers out of control, perhaps fueled by drink, isolation, or madness. And still others wonder about the old legends of the island, of the ruined chapel, of the burying places found there from the time of the Druids, a place of storms and strange happenings. As for Joseph Moore, he carried on as a lighthouse keeper, but he would never go back to Eilean Moor, to the place of the 3 blackbirds. The mystery of the 3 men's disappearance caught the public imagination and inspired artists and writers. Over a century has passed, but the question lingers. What happened to the keepers of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse? The truth, it seems, may have vanished along with them into the mists of time.
Swept them from